Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting me to this conference, which takes place online as it is common these days. I am happy to attend this conference because I have already had several opportunities to work with the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. It has always been a very interesting and mutually beneficial cooperation. The topic of this forum and this section is very broad. It deals, for example, with the democratization of international relations. It deals with the issue of democracy, but also the transfer and sharing of the experience of countries that have different political regime. First of all, let me say that the ideas of the Western countries about democracy and human rights and pluralism are different for the ideas of, for example, China, but also the ideas of a large part, and I think of most of, the countries of the developing world. I do not think it is a big issue. Let every country and nation create such a political system that will suit them because it will ensure the stability of society, but also the constant growth of living standards and overall development of people's lives. I do not want to convince anyone about the merits of the Western system of liberal democracy, which, in my opinion, works very well in Europe and North America, but also, for example, in Japan and South Korea. Of course, we should not forget India, which is actually the largest country with a pluralistic Western-type democracy in the world. I do believe that nothing can prevent fair relations between countries with different political systems and establishment. Nothing could prevent them from respecting each other. The situation in any country in the world has been determined by the waves of the COVID-19 pandemic for the last 2 years. Needless to say, this pandemic has caused enormous damage to the world. On the one hand, it is the number of the victims that counts to millions. Besides victims, there are also people that have minor or severe disabilities after the diseases. The economic damage caused by the pandemic is also immense. It is reflected in huge state budget deficits in nearly every country in the world. In the West, deficits are also extremely high, and it will take a long time to reduce them. For example, the current Czech government believes that the state budget deficits will reach 3% of GDP not earlier than in 2025. And it will need an unspecified period of time to balance the budget. The countries of the West have decided to spend a lot in their state budgets to maintain the welfare state and social peace in society. A new nightmare has emerged in the United States, but also in Europe. It is the inflation. In October, inflation in the United States exceeded 6%. In Great Britain, more than 4%. In Germany, it reached almost 5%. And in the Czech Republic, it is similar. And today, the down-to-earth estimate is that the next year price growth may be somewhere between 7 to 10%. Electricity and gas prices, in particular, are rising rapidly in connection with the rapid rise in gas and oil prices on world markets. Commodity prices for industrial production, industrial metals, and energy raw materials have been rising recently at unprecedented rates. Commodity prices for food production are rising similarly. A significant part of Czech households will get into serious financial problems due to the rapid increase in gas prices. I do not know whether it will be 10% or 2/5 of the population or more, but the idyllic life for a significant part of the citizens is basically over. Paradoxically, commodity prices are affected by two phenomena that should have opposite effects and eliminate each other, but this is not the case. On the one hand, this is a precondition for a rapid economic recovery, which increases the hunger for raw materials, and on the other hand, there are concerns stemming from a slowdown in industrial production and a slowdown in overall economic growth, which should have the opposite effect. Of course, this creates social problems in virtually all Western countries. It is an attack on people's living standards that has not happened for decades. This can result in great social and political tension in Western society and different Western countries. At the same time, the pandemic has not yet been averted, which is somewhat related to the system of liberal democracy, if it is applied consistently. Simply in a situation where, let's say, a quarter or a third of the population is not willing to get vaccinated for some reason, prejudice, poor information, reluctance, then this brings loads of other problems, and especially more patience. I would say that there is a certain weakness in the system of Western democracy because there are things that cannot be voluntary if their failure can endanger the lives and health of other people. Let us hope that the problem of vaccination will be solved by the countries of the West. I want to believe that this will be the case in a short time. Another problem is the developing countries on all continents need help with this. We can say that due to the pandemic, both these countries and their people have further been impoverishing. This applies mainly to African countries, but also to many countries in other parts of the world. We have to help these countries with a generous and free supply of vaccines so that the pandemic can be reduced or, even better, eliminated in these countries as well. Thank you very much for your attention.